I'm Leah Lawrence.
And I'm her husband, Mitch Lawrence.
And you are listening to the Southern Spirits Podcast, where I regale my husband with Southern stories of the macabre, creepy, and strange.
And I drink.
So what are you drinking tonight, Mitchell?
Our beer tonight is Appalachiosaurus Amber Lager. Brewed and canned by Red Clay Brewing Company in Opelika, Alabama. 5% alcohol by volume. And there is nothing on the cans or the internet about this. You can find it on Red Clay's website. You can find it on Untapped, but no one has anything to say about it.
How apropos.
People review it on Untapped. Yeah. I'm not saying that no one has any, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Red
Clay.
There
isn't a description of the brewing.
Right. Red Clay does not have any of that for any of the stuff that they make. So, I'll just tell you how I feel about it. It's kind of what you expect from an amber. There's nothing special about it, but it is an enjoyable experience, which is more than I've been able to say for any other Red Clay beer that we've had. I don't like anything from Red Clay, but this one's fine. It's kind of heavy, not from the alcohol content, but it's just hefty and bready, and it's got a good flavor, but nothing special. No special flavor. So, I gave it a 7.5 out of 10. How'd you feel about it, Leah?
I told you that I thought it was beer-flavored beer.
Yeah, that's about right.
So if you're looking for a beer that tastes like beer, this one's it.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Just a regular old beer.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, it is bready and amber, so it's not like, a Bud Light or something like that.
Well, no, but I mean, I'm talking about real beer, not light beers. You know what a light beer tastes like, and you know what a beer tastes like. This tastes like a beer.
Yeah, there you go. Beer. Yeah, there you go. Anyway, it's fine. I would recommend trying it if you like ambers. Just tastes like a normal amber. I just cracked another one because I'm going to need it. Because our shot in the dark for the night is Creekwater American Whiskey. Bottled by Creekwater Spirits in Durham, North Carolina. 50% alcohol by volume. And this one does have an online description. So let's do that. Let's read the online description. Similar to Canadian and Irish whiskey, Creekwater is carefully crafted in Durham, North Carolina using a bourbon mash of 21% rye, 4% malt, and 75% corn. Aromas of tobacco and maple syrup fill the air while the deep copper color draws you in. Featuring a slightly charred front end with spicy hints of cinnamon and traditional oak, followed by a short, smooth finish. End quote. This was recommended a couple of months ago from, I believe it was Susan and Justin on the community chat.
Yes.
And I was like, that looks nice. Let's go get that. So we did. And what I have to say is that this is strong as fuck. It's 50% alcohol. But it's a rye bourbon. That's how they are anyway.
Yeah.
Period. But this is also 50%. But it's absolutely bursting with flavor. I get nutty and barrel aromas when I, put it up to my nose. Get the nice, the nose feel, as they call it.
Look at you being fancy smelling things.
Well, I mean, I always smell them, but, And then there is that sweet cinnamon. And it's rare that I find a rye or bourbon that I'm, at least okay with, that I like. This is one of those. So, it's very smooth on the back end. It's really good, but goddamn, it is strong. So if you don't like strong whiskeys, best to avoid. But there's a lot of flavor in this. I give it a 9 out of 10 on ice. Definitely let it water down a little bit, because I always, when I do these on ice sections, I go ahead and put ice in it, and then I go ahead and take a swig, just to see how it is a little bit cold. Just full on, don't do that. The shots are going to be really rough tonight. But it's really good when you let it sit for a second, soak in a little bit of that water, and it's just really good. 9 out of 10. We made whiskey sours, 9 out of 10 as well, so 9 out of 10 overall. Leah, what did you feel about your whiskey sour?
No, I haven't tasted it by itself because I haven't wanted to venture that close to it right now. But a whiskey sour is my favorite thing to drink. If I'm in a bar and I'm just hanging out and there isn't like a fruity, ridiculous cocktail menu, because I do love one of those, I will order a whiskey sour. It's what I prefer to drink. And this one's excellent. It's really smooth. It's not overly sweet. It's just a really nice bourbon. Is it bourbon? You said it was bourbon?
It's a bourbon rye.
Okay.
So,
anyway, I like it. It makes a fantastic whiskey sour. Would recommend. And on top of that, the bottle is wonderfully adorable. Yeah. It's got the latch top bottle with a little sort of cork on a latch thing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
I hate them.
I love them. Mitch can't open them, but
Yeah, I figured it out.
no, you didn't. You handed it to me and said, "Open this."
Yeah, but I'm saying since then I've done it.
Oh, okay.
I figured it out.
Fine. And then obviously I think the label's really nice. It's got pretty typography for it. So
yeah, it is.
I
It's
think
really
the
cool.
bottle is very aesthetic as well. So if you're looking for something southern and good looking to keep on your,
We're getting a divorce, so I'm on the market.
to keep
not
in
getting
your
a
liquor
divorce.
cabinet.
Every time I say that, I need to clarify. That's absolutely
Yeah,
not
no,
happening.
we're not this week anyway.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes a week from now. We'll see how this episode goes. How
Look,
about that?
we've at least got to make it through June because I'm not going to Mexico with a stranger. So.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we'll still go. Like, if we get divorced between now and then. By the way, that's it for the alcohols. Let's fade out. let's fade it out. But yeah, Leah and I are going back to our honeymoon destination for our 5th anniversary in June. I can't wait.
Well, we hope so, as long as everything is
That's
okay. Mitch is fully vaccinated now.
Yeah.
I hope to be as soon as it's available for my demographic. I will be getting that as well, and hopefully by June we'll all be vaccinated and it'll be safe for us to travel like that. But
Or herd immune.
yeah, that too. But anyway, we got a ridiculously good price because obviously, because no one's traveling right now. So
Yeah.
fingers crossed that works out for us. If it doesn't,
Yeah. Well, before we go elsewhere, I want to go ahead and say that I had an awesome idea. This was on the community chat, so if you've seen it, you already know what I'm talking about. But all of my coworkers have had pretty bad symptoms or side effects from getting. I can honestly say that they may be faking, though. I know these people, they're like, I got the shot, I'm going to take the next day off,
Oh, yeah.
So they're all saying they got flu-like symptoms, fevers, aches, stuff like that. I had an idea for a new superhero based off of my side effects. So it's Bruce Willis and Unbreakable. So what made me think this was everybody else got sick, but I didn't off of mine. But I just got super, super fucking tired. So my idea for a superhero was Bruce Willis and Unbreakable, but instead of his weakness being water, his weakness is rain sounds and the cool side of the pillow. I think that's hilarious, if you ask me. Just like, I'm going to get you. I'm real strong. I'm indestructible. And then you just hear like rain hitting a window and you're like, oh, no, hold on. I think that's really funny.
You're ridiculous.
You're
also a lot younger than a lot of the people in your
That's true.
office as well. So that can also be a part of the side effects not affecting you as much. And you're a man as opposed to most of the women that you work with. So,
well, I don't assume any of their genders.
well, that's one.
First of all.
Exactly. Thank you for that. But I'm saying, for the most part, you're one of what, 2 or 3
Yeah, 2 or 3 men
identifying
in
as
the-
male.
Also,
people?
I don't assume their genders. I don't assume my own, if we're going to be honest. So, but yeah, it was like I had the flu, but the only symptom I had was extreme fatigue.
Yeah.
Like I didn't have aches or fever, anything like that. I was just goddamn tired for no reason.
Well,
so-
there was a reason.
Well, it was 2
were
days later. I
vaccinated.
also could have just like my CPAP mask could have been fucked up. I honestly don't know. I just know I woke up and I was like, I'm going right the fuck back to sleep. And that was pretty much it.
Yeah.
So, anyway, could have been anything.
Mm-hmm.
But that's what you miss if you're not in the community chat. That
So
level of comedy.
fucking sign up, man.
This is
Mitch's
why we're.
shower
This
thoughts.
is why we are inches away from the Masked Singer. Like this, we are on the cusp. We are on the absolute cusp of fame.
Y'all, and we've been watching The Masked Dancer too because we're bored and it's on.
Not near
and,
as good.
It's A, not as good. And
It's
B,
still fun though. Like,
yeah, I mean, like, there's backup dancers and shit. It's fun to watch, but
my idea, by the way, Leah, I said this to you the other night. If they have backup dancers on the Masked Singer, they should have backup singers on the Masked Dancer.
I told you I think they should have like a live band that's playing all of their music and stuff. It would be more fun, but anyway, I'm just saying the level of celebrity on that show isn't really doing it for me either.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
Oh, yeah.
they had Bill Nye, so I'll give them that.
Leah, spoilers for anyone who hasn't watched it.
Sorry.
Fucking shit.
I mean, that one's been out there though.
But yeah, like if we're like maybe we should now adjust our strategy. Maybe we shouldn't be going for the Masked Singer. We should go for the Masked Dancer because like we are on that level of celebrity with most of those people.
Okay, look, I can't dance to save my life,
Me
and
either.
I've been in multiple dance classes in
But
my
neither could the
life.
guy from Jersey Shore.
Oh, bless it.
He was there. And he's not even like one of the people you know from Jersey Shore. That's what I'm saying. That's where we are. We are there. Was his name
All
Vinny
right.
something? Vinny G or something like that?
I don't know. I didn't watch those shows, but I guess I'll just have to work my splits back up and we'll get going.
Yeah, that's what every week you'll do the splits and I'll like stand next to you with my hands on my hips. That's our dancing.
Bless it.
Oh God, what a waste of time. But I'm gonna finish the show.
Okay.
So anyway, you may get into whatever we have to do.
Well,
Now.
what's really exciting, that's something we should have probably said at the top of the show instead of waiting 15 minutes in after our bullshittery.
I apologize.
But we have a new Possum Passel member.
Oh shit! I didn't even know that we were preparing for that. So let's get a couple things in here.
That one's so long.
That's what she said. Shut up! Okay, who is it?
It's Jen.
Hey, Jen.
Welcome to the Patreon Possum Passel Posture
Welcome.
Passel.
Don't know where the fuck you are, but welcome.
Bless. I'm struggling. Welcome, Jen. Thank you for supporting us on Patreon. We appreciate it very much.
Thank
You're
you.
our favorite possum this week. Thank you so much. And if anybody wants to also, give us $1 or
God.
more every month, you're more than welcome to do that at patreon.com/Southern Spirits Podcast. We, use the money to buy liquors and beers to review on the show, as well as, paying for, day-to-day items that we need for the podcast and, server space, etc. So we very much appreciate it. You're the reason that we're able to continue to put this out every week for the most part, unless there is a catastrophic medical issue, which happens a lot more frequently than I'd care to admit. But at any rate, we do have the Patreon episode for January. It's up, and we'll be recording one for February and posting that shortly. Because I actually have notes for that one, and we're going to get it done, and we're going to stay on track this year, and there's going to be so much Patreon content. The first one for January is Leah's Hoaxacopia. It is our favorite hoaxes.
The dog is on the back of the
hoaxes.
couch by Leah's head.
Huh?
The big dog is on the back of the couch by Leah's head.
You said Dobby, it's Samus.
No, the big one.
Yeah.
And that is
What the
terrifying.
hell?
She is at your head. Leah, don't move. Don't move.
She smells my chapstick, I swear to God.
That's exactly
Anytime
what
I
it
put
is.
on my Carmex,
She's going for the chapstick.
I put
100%.
on cherry Carmex, and she fucking follows me every time.
Yeah.
I don't understand.
She is. What is she doing? She's going for that Carmex. Yeah, get in there. Get in there, Samus. Get it. Get it. Yeah. Yeah.
It's so weird.
This recording needs to be tightened up a little bit. Samus,
I don't like any of this.
you look very confused.
Oh, my dog's being a predator. Anyway.
She is. That was terrifying. I'm glad I got some of that recorded. I'm going to put that up on one of our pages.
Yeah,
soon.
but anyway, Patreon, it's there if you want it. If you don't, that's fine too. But yeah, my favorite hoaxes is the first episode.
Yeah, we did 3 of them.
Mm-hmm. We did 3 of them. They were all really fun. And I hope our patrons enjoyed that.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Spoiler alert, number 1 was COVID-19.
It was not.
Oh, Leah.
No,
it absolutely was not.
It was not. Anyway, so let's go on to our sassy Samus. What is
she's
your
all
deal?
over you.
This dog she will not leave me alone. Anyway, sorry about that. She's decided that I'm shaming her, so she's leaving.
Yeah.
But we're going to go ahead and go to our sassy Southern saying of the evening. Are you ready, Mitchell?
Yes, I'm so ready.
All right, so this is the phrase that you should be working into your daily, or not daily, but, once a week. Stick it in somewhere.
Mm-hmm. That's, okay, calm down.
So the saying is, well, she's nervous as a cat in a room full of rocking chairs.
Cat in a room, because cats are jumpy, and any little creak will make them go, woo, like that?
No, because they have long tails, and rocking chairs are notoriously bad for getting things smashed underneath them.
That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Okay. Moving
yeah,
on.
that's it.
Oh, that was a great one, Leah. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Or not. Well,
Well, that when could that? So when someone's nervous,
yeah.
anytime they're scared or apprehensive,
Or like if you were waiting on test results or a pregnancy test, I don't know. You say she's as nervous as a cat in a room full of rocking chairs. Like freaking out.
Okay. Well, I'm excited that I.
Well, I mean, I don't know. Maybe a pregnancy test is the wrong thing because at this age, most people are like hoping, instead of.
You mean at our age?
Yeah.
Oh. I mean, I guess.
I guess it depends on your situation, to be fair, but
I'm hoping you're not pregnant.
Oh, I'm definitely not. I'm good. But I've got like friends that have told me, in the recent past, like, hey, I'm pregnant. And at first you're like, okay, need to judge the situation. Is this a happy I'm pregnant or an I'm pregnant? And then you have to like mold your reaction to whatever is on their face.
Yeah.
And it's really difficult when it's over a text message or something because you're like, I don't know how to read this. And you're just, congratulations.
Yeah. This happened to me actually at my bachelor party. One of my groomsmen was telling me that his wife was pregnant. And I've known that this lady in particular is a little bit nutty, right?
High strung.
So what happened was, and I realized later how fucking stupid this was, but what happened was I was sitting next to him and I never once said, oh, that's great. Like, is it exciting? Are you looking forward to it? I kept going, oh no. Oh man, I'm sorry. Like, is your wife okay?
Probably not the best
like,
reaction.
I was obviously saying her name, but I was like, is everything okay? And he was like, yeah, it's kind of fucked up. And I was like, that's what I'm saying.
See,
it's
like you read the room and it like worked for that situation.
Yeah, but I think he was reacting to me.
Oh, okay, maybe.
Because I probably should have been like, oh, cool, you're going to be a dad. That's great. But instead I was like, dude, she's fucked up. and he was like, yeah. They are now divorced, but like I'm just saying, I think that I fucked that situation up.
Yeah, probably.
But at the same time, not the marriage. First of all, not the
that
marriage,
wasn't you.
But the situation of him telling me she was pregnant, and I was like, oh god. I mean, kid's great.
The kid is adorable.
Yeah, but besides that.
Yeah, I see. Anyway, beyond that, are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
For a story? Since we've bullshitted for 20 minutes now?
Is that how long we bullshitted?
I have no idea.
Yeah.
You're the one with the recording numbers.
18 minutes.
See, close. Anyway, maybe you can tighten up that spot where Samus.
Yeah. Well, I've already recorded it and put it on the community chat.
Okay, well, all right. So, we are going to go to North Carolina for our first story of the evening, and we are going to be talking about the ghost train of Boston's Bridge.
Boston's?
Boston's.
Okay, what is that?
So, Boston's Bridge is a 60-foot high arch bridge. It's made of what?
I'm just watching the video I took.
Stop! Put your phone down, you asshole.
It's very funny. It's already got one laughing reaction.
Excellent. Put your phone down.
2 of them.
Put your phone down.
Okay. Fair enough.
Thank you. So it's a 60-foot high arch bridge, and it's made out of brick and natural stone. And it was originally built for the Western North Carolina Railroad in 1858, and it crosses Third Creek, which I don't know who came up with the name Third Creek. But
why do they have so many creeks?
Because there's a lot of water in North Carolina, I guess. I don't know. But I was thinking when I read this, I was thinking when I first read this story that it was like a rinky-dink kind of bridge, you know what I mean? Like, but when I looked it up and actually looked at pictures of it, and it's still there today, when I looked at the bridge, it looks like the kind of bridge that, if you've seen the first Harry Potter, well, all of the Harry Potter movies, where the Hogwarts Express goes across that big arching bridge on its way to Hogwarts,
Yeah.
They always get that one panning shot with that big bridge. That's what the bridge looks like. It's a big-ass fucking bridge.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Big-ass fucking bridge.
It's a big-ass fucking bridge.
Episode titled
So, there was a train, obviously, running across this bridge. Well, I mean, they ran across pretty frequently, but at this point, it was August the 27th of 1891, and steam locomotive number 166 was leaving Richmond, was part of the Richmond and Danville Railroad. They were leaving Statesville, and they were leaving about 2:30 in the morning. So shot in the dark.
Oh, God damn it, Leah. I was just getting ready to pour it, and I was just thinking, I really hope I get the shot in the dark right.
So how many train cars were connected to the locomotive?
Okay.
And this is a passenger car.
Okay.
So it's not a bunch of, like, stuff. It's, like, just
it's
for
freight.
passengers. Yeah.
Okay.
So how many train cars were connected to the locomotive? Was it A, 5 cars, B, 7 cars, or C, 9 cars?
Oh, God. I want to say that it is C, 9.
You're incorrect.
Oh, son of
Take
a
that
fucking
shot.
bitch.
Take that shot.
I might throw up.
Yeah, well, as long as it's not me.
Not because the whiskey's bad, but because it is incredibly fucking strong.
Yeah, well, better you than me. But anyway, it had 5 cars. So it had a baggage car, a first-class car, a second-class car, a Pullman sleeper car, and the superintendent of the railroad had a private car on the end. And the train was actually about 34 minutes late leaving its initial spot. So it was traveling a little bit faster than normal, but still within the regular, still within safe, speeds. So they were probably, are you okay? Mm-hmm. They were probably traveling around 35 to 40 miles an hour. Traveling. And they were just trying to make up that time that they lost because they left late. And it only took about 5 minutes after the train had left the station that it gets to Boston's Bridge. Boston. And it derails and it crashes off the side of Boston Bridge. So it's a 60-foot drop down into this creek valley situation. And the sleeper car that had been part of the train was found 153 feet away from the
holy shit
from the thing. So it was tossed, it was bad. Everything, and a lot of those cars were made out of wood and stuff like that at the time, and everything splintered, and it was pretty fucking terrible. So several of the people that were not as badly injured ran back to the 5-minute jaunt, which, I mean, I'm sure on foot it was a lot longer than 5 minutes, but, they went back to Statesville to report the train wreck. And then rescue workers came and they made their way to the train and the crash site and everything, and they started pulling bodies out of the wreckage. They started pulling survivors out of the wreckage, and they were taking everybody back to Statesville. But Statesville doesn't have a hospital, so they end up having to get people to open up their homes to care for these people. And the dead bodies were all taken to a tobacco storage warehouse to be identified at a later date. So it was a pretty bad derailment and disaster. And I don't think I wrote down how many exactly, but it was 20-something people died from that. It was 22 or something like that. It was a lot of people. But it was kind of a mystery exactly what was going on as to why it derailed, because it was so short into the journey. But these people, the railroad company was very, very ready to try to find a reason that this happened, because they didn't want to be sued by everybody. So 4 days after the incident happened, they did a judicial inquiry, and they had a bunch of people looking into what had happened, and eventually they decided that what happened was people had been removing nails from the rails on that stretch of land.
Why?
Just because the steel was worth money, and they could scrap it, or they could use it in their own whatever. But people had been taking out the spikes, and the rails were probably also in a not great condition, kind of neglected, I suppose, and they didn't notice that all of those nails were missing because that particular railroad was also struggling financially, and they weren't able to keep up with as much of the upkeep as they should have been. So they went heavily after a bunch of people in the area trying to find who was responsible, quote unquote, for this, because they could not afford for anybody to sue them. It needed to be pinned squarely on someone else, make it somebody's fault. So eventually they interrogated a bunch of people, but they ended up having to release a bunch of people. But eventually there were 2 men that were already conveniently locked up in the state penitentiary, and they allegedly confessed to being the ones that had pulled all those railroad spikes up and had caused the derailment. So, I mean, miracle of miracles, they solved it, and they didn't have to pay any kind of liability out on any of the people that had sued them for, Well,
isn't that nice?
Yeah, it's very convenient, if you ask me. So, but, for the most part, people debate on as to whether that was actually the cause of the derailment or not, but that's not really what our story is about.
Oh, it's not?
It's not.
I thought it was true crime.
It's not true crime, because we're talking about a ghost train at this point.
Yay, I like ghost trains.
There's a legend that surrounds this whole bridge in that disaster. So the story is that 50 years after this crash happened, it was August 27th of 1941. There was a woman and her husband that had been traveling down the road near the tracks near Statesville, and their car had gotten a flat tire. So she had remained in the car. Her husband had gone back to Statesville to get help change their flat tire because he didn't have any of the tools that he needed in the car. So she was sitting there by the side of the road, just sort of waiting for him to come back. And all of a sudden, this woman hears a train whistling. And she's like, oh, trains, there's train tracks. She's just looking at it, interested, I suppose.
Yeah.
And she sees a headlight down the tracks, and she sees the engine coming, and she noticed that, they were about to cross the bridge, and she was just watching it as it was going by. And as the engine began to cross the bridge, it derails, and she sees the train plunge off of the bridge, and she sees everything splinter and shatter, and she saw just all of the awful wreckage and the horror. She could hear people screaming and just like, all of the normal sounds that you would hear after a disaster is taking place. And she's obviously freaked out. And so she runs across the road and through the field, sort of closer to the scene, and she sees still everything. There was the engine and its tender car and just all of the shit, and everything was just this awful wreckage sort of floating in the creek water. And she heard a car sort of pulling by on the road, so she runs back and she sees that it's her husband. They had changed the flat and they were looking for her because she was no longer in her car, and they were kind of upset about that. And the husband got her back in the car, and she's like, there's a train wreck. There's a train wreck. You got to come look. There's a train wreck. And he comes with her and with the man in the car that had helped him change the tire. He was the owner of the local general store. And they looked, and they're like, sweetheart, there's nothing here.
That's upsetting.
What the fuck are you talking about, ma'am? It's just a creek. I don't know what your problem is, but there is not a train at the bottom of this ravine.
Jesus.
And so she's very unsettled, and she needs to have a drink of water and sit down for a minute. So they're taking the owner of this general store back down the road. So drop him off,
Yeah.
And the three of them, sort of sat there, and she gathered her her wits about her, and the men were like, oh, you must have just fell asleep and dreamed it, and you just thought it was real, and you freaked out for nothing because you're just a little old lady, you know.
Yeah. She's being hysterical.
But she decided that was not a good excuse. That was not okay. She was very convinced that something had happened. So she made her husband stop by the Statesville train station on their way out of town to see if there had been a wreck. So they go up to the ticket taker, or the ticket seller, I don't know, the ticket window.
The ticket person.
Yeah. They go up to the station agent and they say, hey, just a weird question. Have you had a train wreck today?
Hey.
And he goes, I mean, no, not today, but it's weird that you should ask that because 50 years ago today, there was this massively terrible wreck out there at Boston's Bridge, you know. And he was telling him some of the history about it. And apparently the woman freaks out, screams and faints because she believes she has seen a ghost train at this point. And so it's been a legend ever since then that on the date of the crash, sometimes you'll see a ghost train, like a memory ghost of this particular, you know, tragedy that occurred. And unfortunately, there is another tragedy that occurred in the same area because of that. So you know how I've talked about legend tripping before? It's where people go to locations that legends are associated with, and they go out and generally do stupid things just to say that they did it in the space of, like on the Poplick Trestle, people going out there and have gotten hit by trains and shit like that. People go out to all manner of places and do stupid things just to say that they were there. This is unfortunately another situation where it was on August the 27th, 2010, there was a group of 12 people, and they were like an amateur ghost hunting group. They just had gotten together, and they decided, hey, we want to see if the ghost train thing appears this year. Let's go out there. Let's see what's going on. So it was around 2:45 a.m., and they see a lot coming down the tracks, and they're like, holy shit, it's the ghost train. And they didn't seem to realize that this is still a very active railroad track, and that trains still come all the fucking time.
It's a real thing.
And the group didn't immediately get off the tracks or run because they did in fact believe it was a ghost train.
Oh God.
And unfortunately, by the time they realized that it was in fact an actual train, there was one guy that couldn't get off of the bridge, and so a man named Christopher Kaiser, who was 29 at the time, was on the bridge itself, and he ended up being hit by the train and died. And then two other members of their group were also pretty severely injured by the train as well. So
that's awful.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm just saying, ghost trains are cool. But watch them from a fucking distance and don't.
Less cool.
Yeah, real trains will hit you.
Welcome to Leah's after school special. Ghost trains are cool. Real trains, not cool.
I mean, I think real trains are cool, but just don't stand in their way because they're gonna win every fucking time, man. Every fucking time.
Yeah. You know what's not cool? Real trains, because they fund terrorism. That was the thing about, you remember the weed ads after 9/11?
I do not remember that, but...
Really? There were a lot of, if you buy marijuana, you are indirectly funding terrorism. Because the drug dealers all lead back to, terrorists in Iraq and Iran. Which, number one, isn't true, and number two, weren't the people who attacked us.
No.
But
Whatever.
That was part of the disinformation campaign. If you've ever seen the movie Vice, which I recommend watching, you'll see just how much of a monster Dick Cheney was.
Fun.
Anyway.
That was completely unrelated to the ghost train.
That's how it relates. Dick Cheney thought that there were ghost trains in Iraq and Iran.
Weird. Anyway, I don't understand how your mind works, but you are a special, special man, and I love you very much.
God, thank you so much.
You're so sweet.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
But yeah, that was the ghost train of Boston's Bridge in North Carolina. So, don't go out on fucking train tracks. That's all I'm saying.
Don't go out on fucking train tracks.
I just grew up in a town, that we grew up right next to the railroad tracks. Yep. And my parents always were very, very serious that I'd never, ever, 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 ever go on near or play, walk down, anything like that railroad tracks. Right. I mean, there were parks around here that have trains running through them, and that was always a thing. Other parents would let their kids put pennies on the track or whatever. My parents were very serious about making sure that we stayed the fuck away of out of the way of train tracks, and it's just sort of ingrained in me to like stay the fuck away from train tracks. Like,
I mean, we all got that as children, don't go hang out on train tracks, right? Because I lived kind of close to train tracks as a child too. But like, it's kind of one of those like, stop, drop, and roll. You don't hear that anymore.
I guess. But like when I was a kid, I mean, and even still today, I'm sure we see them a lot because there's actually a wedding venue near the train tracks where I'm like near where I lived as a kid. We're on the other side of town now, but there was a section of the train tracks that had cotton fields on either side of them, and it was super popular to get your senior pictures taken out on the train tracks.
Right.
And that's trespassing. CSX does not like that, and they can fine you.
Motherfuckers.
But I mean, I still see people in their wedding dresses out on the train tracks taking pictures, and I'm like, you dumb bitch. But anyway.
You can see it coming.
You can. And at that particular stretch, you can see it pretty far off, but I'm not taking chances in my wedding dress getting plowed over by a train, because that is the kind of luck that Leah has. It just is.
I mean, what if your dress gets caught in the track? I mean, you don't want to rip it. Don't just run off, you got to fix it.
Yeah. So all I've got to say is that was a huge tangential piece of bullshit, but my point is stay the fuck off of railroad tracks. All right. Okay.
I mean, I'll say go on them if you're being safe and know what you're doing.
No, absolutely not. Stay the fuck off of the railroad tracks, because you may be doing exactly what you think you should be doing, and you could still get hit by a fucking train. So, I'm done now.
Thank you.
Are you ready for some true crime?
Yeah, I thought that one was going to be true crime. I'm very upset.
It was not, but I do have a murder.
Well, thank you.
You know what's even more exciting?
Murders.
It's a lesbian murder.
Oh, okay. I don't know why I reacted that way.
No, I find it interesting because it is from 1892, and
Columbus sailed the ocean blue.
No,
that was 400 years prior.
Yeah,
that's what it was.
Yeah, in 1892, out lesbians were less of a thing, and it was very scandalous, and I don't know. It's very interesting, and I found it initially on, it's a website called Out History, and it is about
that's exciting.
LGBTQIA plus history, like interesting stories and stuff. And so this is the story of Alice Mitchell and Frida Ward, and this is from Memphis, Tennessee.
Okay.
Okay.
That's exciting.
So Alice Mitchell, she was 19 and Frida Ward was 17. And they became friends at the Higbee School for Girls in Memphis, Tennessee.
Okay.
So they were both daughters of planters and merchants and stuff, fancy upper middle class white folk. Probably more upper than middle, but they weren't like upper echelon super rich people, but they had plenty of money. It wasn't a problem. So Frida Ward and her sister Jo went to the school, and they met Alice Marshall there and another girl named Lily Johnson, and they were all from pretty prominent families, and they all became really close friends. But especially Frida and Alice, they became real close friends.
Hello.
But it actually, what I came to read in this article, which I found very interesting, was that apparently it wasn't uncommon in that time period for girls to form, quote, very close relationships and express undying love for each other and write love letters to each other and like kiss and touch and stuff like that, because it was seen as, quote, a rehearsal in girlhood for the great drama of a woman's life.
A rehearsal in girlhood.
So it was basically like, this is someone she can flirt with and can't get her pregnant. Let them have some fun while they're young, and eventually they'll snap out of it and stop being, attracted to women and just like be cool with the dude at this point. I don't know.
She's in love with the dude.
So they thought that, eventually they would outgrow it once they, found a man.
Yeah.
And so it was generally seen as sort of harmless, not something that anyone had to worry with. No one really thought it was, scandalous or anything at the time. It was just sort of a known girls being girls kind of thing.
Yeah.
So shot in the dark.
Oh, here we fucking go.
These close female relationships had a slang term in that region.
This can't be good.
What was it? And I love it. So,
it's going to be offensive no matter what I pick.
It's not. It's legitimately not.
Okay.
Not offensive, which is nice.
We'll see.
So was it A, palling, B, budding, or C, chumming?
I'm going to say palling because I feel like I've heard that before.
You're incorrect. It was chumming.
Oh, damn it.
The girls were just chumming it up, just chumming.
Well, can I just say, because I want to, that I believe that every cis boy growing up could benefit from a rehearsal in girlhood. They really could. You got to understand some things a little bit more about the fairer sex, as they call them. And they, being the operative word, that's what they call them. So, I'm just saying, it's not a bad idea to go for a rehearsal in girlhood. I like it. I just love that that's what they were calling it. That makes me so happy.
I don't know. Like, just, sure. Chumming. I like it. I can't say that I ever did that, but cool.
You never chummed?
I never chummed, but I mean,
you've had a chum or two since we've been married. I don't know what that means. That's
I don't know what that means either.
I realize now that that could mean lesbian lover, and that's not what I meant.
It's not. Just for the record. I mean, that's not fine if that's your thing, but that's not my thing. I'm in monogamous marriage, so we're gonna keep it that way.
Anyway, I made myself laugh.
Anyway,
isn't that why we're here?
That is why we're here.
Yeah.
Did you take that shot?
Not yet. No.
Okay. Just chumming it up with that with that bourbon over there.
I'm chumming with my shot over here. I'm not fully going. I'm not diving in. I'm chumming.
Yeah, but I mean, they just had to practice their kissing and stuff, so.
I've heard that's what happens at slumber parties.
I've been to several slumber parties, and that never happened.
We just got to practice for when boys want to do this. It's called rehearsals in girlhood.
It's just fine. I don't get it, but
no,
whatever.
That's not. It doesn't actually happen, Leah. This is like, it's a porn thing.
I suppose. Once again, my friends were all super fucking nerdy, and we were reading books and watching, Wait
a second. Y'all got
movies
together in the same house to read books separately?
It happened on occasion, yeah.
Jesus Christ, Leah.
Look. We were nerdy kids. I can't help it. Anyway.
But you could do that. You could talk on the phone. You would be just as benefited by just leaving the phone on.
We did that too.
Yeah.
Ask Aaliyah anytime. Our parents' phone just contract was probably just hours and hours and hours of us just sitting on the phone. We would be doing other stuff. Just whatever. Just
but you were in each other's company technically because you were on the phone.
Yeah, just all the time.
Well, that's cute. But see, now we have Skype and other things where it's just easier to do that kind of stuff, I guess.
Skype weirds me out. Any video. I don't care for video calls of any sort, but it's because I'm really bad about I'll just watch myself, and what's the point? I know what I look like. I don't need...
You can turn that off, I think.
I'm sure you can, but I get self-conscious about it, and then I start looking at myself again. It's weird. Anyway...
Do I got a bug hanging?
So anyway, Frida, her family, okay.
Fucking shit.
So, Frida and Alice sort of were pretty close.
Oh, God.
In this chumming kind of relationship. Now, Frida apparently was very theatrical, I guess, very dramatic. And she liked to do, amateur theatricals. And she was supposed to be a very beautiful young woman. And she liked to play around and flirt with all the boys, but she liked to flirt with all the girls too. And she was just, a popular, vivacious kind of young woman. And she definitely had a relationship with Alice.
A chumming
relationship.
Right.
But we're not really sure if it was as serious for Frida as it was for Alice, because Alice she was very ready to marry her. And it even got to the point on Alice's part that they had been writing letters back and forth to each other because Frida's family ended up moving a few miles south to the town of Gold Dust, Arkansas. And they, it was a boat ride away. It wasn't too terribly far, but they began, sending letters back and forth because they couldn't see each other all the time because, they no longer went to the same school. And it turns out that Frida had been writing letters to Alice, and Alice had been returning letters. And eventually Alice had come up with this entire plan that they wanted to elope to St. Louis, and Alice would change her name to Alvin Ward, and she would dress as a man. And they would get married and they would live as man and wife. And she would go and get a job as a man to support the two of them. And she even sent her a ring, and they both considered themselves to be engaged. Now, whether Frida actually believed that any of that was going to happen or not, or if she just thought, oh, this is like a romantic kind of theatrical haha kind of
theatrical haha.
No, but you know what I mean? Like, she was playing along with it for the romance of it, or was she legitimately wanting to actually do the plan, Yeah. It's debatable, and since there are very few primary sources about this story, most of all of these actual stories were filtered through the media of the day and the court trials that happened afterward, so it's kind of difficult to know where both people stood. But for certain, Alice was absolutely 100% in love with her and wanted to be her spouse, Okay. And so, unfortunately, Frida's older sister, who she lived with, her name was Ada Volkmar. She's married. And so she caught Frida, who had a packed suitcase, which I guess to me seems like she was in to go actually do stuff, but she had a packed suitcase, and she found all of the letters, and she found the ring and realized that she was planning to elope to St. Louis. And so the sister was like, okay, look, this chumming's gone too far. It's absolutely not going to happen.
This chumming has gone too far.
We're absolutely not eloping. You are absolutely not to have any further contact. You cannot correspond with her. You do not speak to her. You do not speak to her sisters. You're not talking to any of those people that you knew before. Just absolutely not, shutting it down. But the following January, Alice and Joe Ward were visiting their family friends.
What were they doing?
Just visiting friends. Frida Ward and her sister, not Alice, because those are the
Chums.
Mitchells, sorry. Anyway, so Frida and her sister are in Memphis visiting an old friend. And once again, Frida is not being let out of her sister's sight because she's bound to go see any of her old friends, then she's not allowed. So they're in Memphis, seeing their friend Miss Kimbrough, and they're, she's got her on lockdown. They're having tea with Miss Kimbrough. So
what kind of tea?
Who knows? Oolong.
Did they have oolong back then?
Yes.
Like in the States, though?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Anyway,
All right.
Alice and Lily. So Lily...
I feel like you're just making that up.
I'm not. But anyway...
Am I interrupting?
You are.
Okay.
Alice Mitchell and then their friend Lily Johnson, who once again was one of the girls that was in the school with them.
Correct.
They had attempted to come visit Miss Kimbrough's house as well, but they were turned away. And so on January the 25th, Alice shows up at Lily's house with a horse and a buggy, and she's like, "Hey, you want to go for a drive?" And she said, "Sure, not a problem. Let's go." They get their little horsey going, and they drive past the Kimbrough's house, just seeing if they can get a sight of Frida, because they miss their friends. You know, they want to see. They want to see him. And so they saw Frida and Joe leaving to go to the ferry, to go back to Gold Dust, Arkansas. And the sisters were, headed to the dock on the street. And Alice apparently has some kind of mental break. And she screams, she jumps out of the moving buggy screaming, "I'll fix her."
Oh.
And she runs down to Frida and she grabs her by the arm and she takes a straight razor that she had stolen from her father out of her pocket, and she slashes her face with the straight razor. And Joe, the sister of Frida, knocks Alice down and sort of starts beating her with an umbrella because, obviously her sister is like being attacked with a straight razor by this crazy woman. And Frida starts running away, but Alice jumped up and she ran after her, and apparently Alice was faster than Frida was, and she caught up with Frida and she slashed at her face again. And Alice sort of grabbed Frida by the hair and pulled her back and ends up just cutting her throat from one side of her ear to the other ear.
They're not chums anymore.
No, she's been throat slashed.
Obviously.
Throat slash.
Oh, God.
So Alice went back to the buggy and sort of just got in and trotted off. And Frida was carried to a nearby office building trying to get her help, and she bled to death, obviously.
Oh, good God.
And the next day, Alice was arrested at her parents' house because... fucking obviously. And they also arrested Lily Johnson because she was in the buggy with her. So Lily's hearing, the first hearing thing, to determine if there was enough evidence to try her.
The first hearing thing?
Yeah. That happened first, and they couldn't really determine what was going on. But anyway, they ended up allowing her to go back and be under kind of house arrest with her parents. But Alice had to stay in jail because she slashed a woman's throat.
Right.
But anyway, the unfortunate part of this is that it was such a sensational news story. A woman murdering anyone was big news, but a woman murdering her lover that happened to also be a woman was real big news.
They were chums, Leah.
They were chums. It was just very scandalous and sensational, and they anticipated that the crowd would be so big that the judge, whose name was Julius Dubose, Mr. Julius Dubois. No, it's spelled D-U-B-O-S-E.
That's
usually
probably
in
Dubose.
Dubois it's an I, but anyway.
It just depends, yeah.
Anyway, I'm saying Dubose. But Mr. Julius, Judge Julius, I suppose.
Yeah, that reminds me of something. Go ahead.
Please
I'll
don't
tell you about
that.
it in a minute.
Anyway.
I'm going to.
Judge Julius delayed the date of her trial, her murder trial, and the opening of that, so they could do construction to enlarge the courtroom so they could expand their seating capacity to hold more people because so many people wanted to be there for this murder trial. They could just
tell people, no, you can't come in.
Yeah, exactly. And they did not. Because they were they were making it a spectacle. The seating capacity was almost as big as Memphis's largest, theaters. for actual theater. So they spent months constructing a bigger, like expanding the courtroom just so more people could get in to see this crazy ass trial.
Yeah.
So on the day of the trial, when it opened, the judge was overwhelmed by how many fucking people were in the crowd. Over 1,000 people from all over the world. Some of them just all sorts of crazy fucking everywhere. Tons of people were just packed into this courtroom. And so it was an absolute just... It was a madhouse, I suppose. But anyway, all of the interesting stuff came out during the trial. And, they were talking about... They read the different love letters and all of that stuff back and forth. And they were talking about what happened and the evidence. And basically... Alice Mitchell.
Alice guilty.
Alice Mitchell pleads not guilty to murder. She pled that she was guilty of the murder, but she pled that she had, quote, present insanity, and that she couldn't be tried for murder because
like
she
momentary
was insane.
insanity.
Yeah, she was temporarily insane, I suppose. And they built their entire defense. So her daddy was rich, and they hired two of the most expensive fucking lawyers they could find.
She got a rich daddy.
She had a rich daddy, and they, like I said, paid out the nose for these lawyers. And the lawyers built their whole case over the fact that Alice was just a little bit strange. And Alice was a little bit strange in the fact that...
She liked girls.
Yeah, exactly. That's pretty much the whole thing that proved that she was insane, was that she liked women. She was also often rude and didn't care about young men.
Well, that's reason enough. Acquitted.
Right.
Acquitted.
Yeah, she's crazy. She apparently... was never terribly girly. She was super tomboyish in all of her behavior. Growing up, she didn't care anything about learning to embroider or sew or cook or any of like the girly hobbies. She only liked to go outside on her swing. She liked to ride horses. Yeah. She liked to shoot her rifle. She just liked to like do outdoorsy stuff, and she didn't want to sit in a dusty ass parlor room learning to embroider.
Ladies, if we've never taught you anything, it's that doing all of that is undesirable. Every bit of it.
Yeah, I suppose. So she, like I said, they just built this entire defense on the fact she's just a little
Their defense
dudish,
was, if the penis doesn't fit, you must acquit.
Something like that. And then they also threw her mom under the bus because they said, there's a genetic predisposition. Because
her mom also chummed. She was a chummer.
No. What her mom's problem was, her father... basically every time she gave birth, and they had 7 children.
Oh, God.
Every time she gave birth, she basically had, quote, perpetual insanity. Basically, she had postpartum depression for a couple months after every birth, and he fucking institutionalized her for a couple of months after every goddamn birth.
Yeah. That's insane.
Yeah, it's a fucking douche canoe. I'm sorry. Pissing me off. Oh, it makes me so mad.
Yeah. Well, I mean, okay, let's help a little bit. They didn't know any better.
They sure the shit did. He just didn't want to have to deal with a sad woman in his house, so he made her go away for a couple of months until she perked back up and wanted to fuck again.
It was a different time. They didn't know exactly what postpartum depression was.
But they sure as shit knew that she wasn't insane.
Yes, but they didn't know about the chemical imbalance and why that sort of stuff happens where your hormones have to rebalance.
That's just misogyny at its finest.
I agree with you, but the fact still remains that it's not like they should have been like super progressive and been like, no, we have therapists and medication that we can treat this with and hormone therapy. We can work this out. No, it was the same time that that doctors invented vibrators because women were hysterical and they needed orgasms.
Look,
it's the same thing.
He stuck his dick in her and made her have 7 children. If you can't support this bitch after she's given you 7 children...
But that's my point. That was supporting her at the time, giving her, quote-unquote, the help she needed.
Disagree. Disagree.
Look,
anyway.
I'm not standing up for it. I'm saying in the time, that's just what happened.
Anyway, so they also obviously told...
I'm sure he's a great guy.
No. They also obviously told the story of their elopement plan. And they also had testimony from Alice's brother Frank, who said that Alice had once tried to commit suicide by taking a bunch of laudanum because Frida had been flirting with some boys and not her, and it made her real upset. So... basically, yeah, that was their entire defense case, was that she's crazy. Look at her. She's crazy. She's a lesbian. She's crazy. Please don't arrest her. And so they put her on the witness stand, and apparently that just helped further the jury's thoughts that she was a little bit crazy, because she was really super calm, didn't seem to be worked up or upset on the witness stand.
Yeah.
She answered the questions very plainly, didn't seem
She'd lost her chum,
emotional or anything like that. And they asked, hey, what was going on? And this is a quote from the trial transcripts.
Oh, God.
When they asked why she planned to kill Frida. And the quote is, "I wanted to cut her because I knew I could not have her, and I didn't want anyone else to have her. My intention was to cut Frida's throat and then my own, but Joe's interference made me cut Frida again."
Yeah, it's the guy's fault. I agree.
No, Joe's the sister.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I agree, though. It's somebody else's fault that you cut her throat.
No, she said I was going to cut her and then me, but I cut her twice.
Exactly.
It was Joe's interference that she didn't end up cutting herself as well, I think is the point.
Oh, okay. All right. Whatever.
But yeah, the trial ended up taking about 10 days, and the jury returned the verdict pretty quickly that she was insane.
They said that she was insane.
They decided that she was insane.
Fuck that.
Yeah, and she was committed to the Tennessee State Insane Asylum at Bolivar, Tennessee. And they eventually ended up dropping all of the charges against Lily Johnson, the friend, because not sufficient evidence to try for murder, so they dropped the charges. So anyway, she ended up going to the Tennessee State Insane Asylum, and she stayed there. And, at any time they could have gone ahead and said, hey, she's competent to stand trial now, but they never did that. And she only made it about 6 years into her lifelong stint in the Tennessee Insane Asylum, because in 1998 she died. Now there's two conflicting reports of her death, though. So according to the official records at the insane asylum, she died there of tuberculosis, but all her attorneys have stated in interviews past that that she did not in fact die from tuberculosis. She committed suicide by jumping into a water tower there at the insane asylum.
That's a horrifying way to go.
Yep, 100%. So, yeah, that's, the story of that. And there are actually some different theories, I guess, as to what actually was going on. And they said some of the people believe that Alice and Lily and Joe and Frida were just always flirting with men, and that Frida was just prettier than Alice and had a lot more luck with men chasing Alice, and Alice was jealous of Frida, and that she was only trying to scratch her face up, and didn't actually want to murder her, but she got the rage and murdered her anyway. That doesn't seem
got the rage.
That does not seem accurate to me, just based on all the love letters and stuff that they procured from both members of this thing. So I don't think that was it. And other people say that there was a mysterious man that was involved.
Oh no.
And that he was following Alice's buggy, and he disappeared after the murder, and the murder was just them fighting over a man instead of just having a lover's quarrel situation. So there's a song, called Alice Mitchell and Freddie Ward that has that story. There's also a book, I believe, that was sort of a novelization of a historical fiction novelization of this story, called, I think it was Alice and Frida Forever or something like that. I don't know. I haven't read it. It didn't get great reviews, so I'm good.
I'm okay.
But yeah. So that's the story of Alice Mitchell and Frida Ward and the unfortunate, murder thereof.
Well, that is quite a story, Leah.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. I mean, I don't know. I don't have anything to say. They were chums. Why can't they just be chums?
Well, because Alice really wanted to be wives, and Frida was like, "Yeah, my family said no, so I'm good."
Can't do it.
No.
Well, what I wanted to tell...
That's why we need to teach people about consent early and often. Look, if she says no, maybe back off. Don't bring the straight razor. I don't know.
Yeah, that's why we need rehearsals in girlhood. I agree, Leah.
Not what I was getting at, but sure.
Yeah. Well, anyway, what you reminded me of when you said, wasn't the judge's name Judge Julius? Isn't that what you said?
Yes.
Yeah. Y'all. Okay. We've talked before on the show about how we watch a lot of British television on YouTube, right? I don't know how, but in the algorithm, I was recommended to watch this show called Judge Render. Okay, if you don't know what it is, give me a second. It is Judge Judy in Britain, but Judge Render is a very hilarious gay man. And it is fucking awesome. It is way better than America, than Judge Judy. The trashy British people are so much better than the trashy American people. Just like on every level. I fucking love Judge Render. And Leah will not watch it with me. She refuses.
I can't deal with that. Like, the amount of cringe I get.
It's so cringy.
My empathy levels are so high that, like, if someone is doing something embarrassing on a screen, even in a movie or something like that, I just get such, like, an intense, just mutual embarrassment for them. And, like, it makes my entire body just cringe up and just I feel bad for them, and I can't, and any kind of situation like that, I can't watch Maury. I don't watch any of the
that's trash.
That's what I'm saying.
This is Judge Render.
I get
that's
it.
Trash.
Well, they're all trash. But I'm saying, like, any of those reality show things that are meant to make fun of people, like, I can't watch the American Idol worst.
I love those too.
I hate those. I can't. It just makes me feel bad, and it makes me sad, and it makes me anxious.
But I like the feel-good ones of those too. Like,
I don't like those either, to be fair.
Like the people who either don't know they can sing well or, have a good story or something. I like those too. I don't like those either, but I specifically detest the ones that are like actively making fun of people. It makes me uncomfortable. Yeah. And I fucking hate it. And I can't do that. So I do agree that of character-wise, Judge Judy is irritating, and Judge Render seems like a dude I want to hang out with because he's fun. It's amazing. He has his bailiff is this lady named Michelle. Most of the time, I think that they've changed. I don't know a lot about the show. I've only watched clips, okay? But this lady named Michelle, she is so funny because she doesn't talk a lot, but like, he'll oftentimes be like, Michelle, right, what do you... Apparently Michelle used to date a heavy metal drummer, and that comes up sometimes. It's very fun, Leah. It's very fun.
I just can't do it. I can't. I would have to be like altered in some way to like functionally do that without me.
We can alter you and make you love Judge Render.
I don't think that's going to happen, but anyway. So, yeah.
Yeah. It's fucking awesome. But it is Judge Judy in Britain. And it's fan-fucking-tastic. Y'all watch Judge Render if you like anything along those lines. Just trust me. It's amazing. Well, that's all I've got, Leah.
Okay.
What are we going to do now?
I guess we're going to go into a toast. And I'm realizing now that the first part of it, not great.
Oh, it's not? Those are my favorite.
And the second part of it, better, but still not great.
Okay.
You ready?
Yeah.
All right, everybody hoist your solo cups high into the sky. Mm-hmm. Let's do a toasty toast.
Okay.
Never step out on a bridge with train tracks run across it.
Fucking what?
The ghosties may not get you, but the real train's gonna hit. See, it doesn't across it and hit it. I don't know.
Well, first you said across it.
Across it.
All right, second stanza.
Okay. 2 school chums is all they were to Frida anyway, but Alice took a razor blade and with it she did slay.
Hey, that's not bad.
See, not bad.
First one, oh, Leah.
Yeah.
Oh, sweetheart.
I told you it was not good.
Oh, it wasn't bad.
It wasn't good either.
I didn't say that.
But anyway, I liked the second one. I was feeling the second one.
Yeah, the second stanza's not bad, especially when you act it out. Because, again, we're audio only, but Leah's over here slashing, going, and with it she did slay.
I'm a dramatic lady. I can't help it.
Yeah, you are. You need a chum. Because you're so dramatic. Or maybe the chum is supposed to be dramatic because of the story.
I don't know.
She goes along with it.
I don't want to slash anybody. I don't like blood, so.
Yeah, nobody wants to, but you know, sometimes you gotta slash a chum. We've all been there.
We have not been there.
Well, maybe I'm the only one that's been there. Me and Rita. Was her name Rita?
Who?
What was the name? Where did I get Rita from?
What the Did you not pay attention to any of the last 20 minutes?
I did. I just don't know where I got the name Rita from. Sometimes I make up names.
A little bit of Monica in my life.
Little bit of Erica by my side. Little bit of Rita. That's where it was. I was thinking Mama number 5. Third lady. That's exactly what it was. Lou Bega's third chum. That's where I fucked up.
Damn it, Lou Bega.
Oh,
hoarding all the chums.
He had so many chums.
Lou Bega's list of chums. That's what the Mambo number 5.
That is February's Patreon right there. I gotta go ahead and put that down real quick.
Oh, bless it.
Okay, well, that may be the episode title. It was gonna be a rehearsal in girlhood, but I think Lou Bega's list of chums now tops the list. I'm not sure. I think that's got to take it, Leah.
I'm here for it.
Old chum number 3. That's where Rita came from. I'm just constantly thinking Mambo number 5. So that's what happened there. Yeah. Could have said Erica. Oh, God. Well, I guess it's time to wrap it up because Leah is done over here. She's yawning. She's had enough. Dogs have been all up in her face, which have been posted to Facebook already. So, yeah. You doing okay over there?
I'm about to fall asleep. So.
Okay. Well, thanks everybody for listening. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Join the community chat on Facebook where you get all of my best jokes. I mean, it's the only ones there are. They're all fucking amazing.
Disagree, but they're there.
That is where they are. They are there, being my jokes for chums. One of them might slip my throat eventually. I don't know. They're pretty bad. Some of my jokes have some problems. Send us an email, southernspiritspodcast@gmail.com. Join the Patreon, patreon.com/southernspiritspodcast. Send us some beer money. Send us a postcard or anything else to P.O. Box 1743 in Hartselle, Alabama, 35640. Leah, did I forget anything?
No, I think you got everything.
Are you sure?
Yep.
Okay, well, let's go ahead and sign off. We will see y'all next time.
Bye, y'all.